The first Raw of 2016 kicks off with a bombshell announcement by the man Vince McMahon himself. He announces two major things. One, that 3-hour Raws will soon be a thing of the past, and this week and the next week are the last two. And that is because the SmackDown vs. Raw wars will be in full swing due to the return of the brand split. Later on in that said Raw, the co-general managers of Raw, Stephanie and Shane McMahon, come into Vince's office and practically beg to be split up as they can't stand each other's style of running Raw. Vince shoots him down, claiming that he can't give Shane full control of a brand since he lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania 32, and he won't go back on his word. He's a man of his word. That's all he truly has left. And he will not give Stephanie full control of the show because he knows damn well that she'll bring back the authority and practically ruin the brand. So he's decided that the GM spot for SmackDown will be undecided. The next show that is run, which will be the first SmackDown of the month, in multiple segments, not involving Vince himself, but you can see him in the background and he's visibly on constant calls. The announcers, they make note of this, and they believe that he is getting calls from people applying for the role of SmackDown General Manager. And during one of the angles, McMahon is on a call when Chris Jericho smoothly kind of just has him put the phone down and the two walk away together. On the next Raw, Steph and Shane confront Chris about what he was doing, but Jericho will not say anything. Before July of 2016, Roman Reigns was busted for using steroids and was suspended for 30 days. This happened before the month of June, so he will make the Battleground pay-per-view. But in storyline, we didn't say he was suspended for using steroids. He was just randomly found knocked out in the parking lot, and Dean is confident that Seth was the one behind it. Ambrose believes that Seth had run Roman over in an attempt to thin the herd and turn that Shield three-way into a one-on-one. Seth claims he did no such thing, but no one really believes him. In the build-up for the draft, on the first Raw, we got to see a vignette recapping this whole Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens saga. And then on the following SmackDown and Raw, we got to see Renee Young interview each man before the match, and they each told their side of the story, each drastically different. And on the final SmackDown before the draft, Zayn and Owens signed a contract for a no disqualification match at Battleground to end this once and for all. And of course, this contract signing turned haywire, but Sami Zayn was able to hit a Michinoku driver, put Kevin Owens through that signing contract table. He signs the contract, throws it on Kevin Owens. Once the draft was announced, John Cena returned to the WWE to hype up the crowd and get them ready for the draft, as he was one of the names in the draft. But before he could really get anything else out, the club interrupted him. Cena tries to tell AJ that he does truly respect his game, just not his character, but the club did not like that. They begin to beat down John Cena when Enzo and Cass, who have been feuding with the club for the past few weeks, run down with chairs to save John Cena. This would lead to a match between Anderson and Gallows and Enzo and Cass on the final 3-hour Raw, where Enzo and Cass would upset the club thanks to Jonathan Cena. Charlotte has been avoiding a title match against Sasha Banks, but thanks to Zayn's general managing, if Sasha can beat Dana Brooke, then she will get a women's title match at Battleground. And in that match, Charlotte, of course, screws over Sasha Banks, and now Dana Brooke has the power to challenge Charlotte for her women's championship. On the first Raw of the month, a match between Big E and Bray Wyatt turned for the worst after Bray Wyatt won. Rowan and Strowman joined in and began to beat down Big E. Kingston and Woods would run out for the save, but Xavier would never make it to the ring. Not because he was ambushed before he could make it, but he started running, he almost got to the ring, and he just stopped. Something must have come over Woods because he couldn't bring himself to help his bros. Kofi and E were laid out, and Woods was useless. The two were justifiably furious at Woods, and Woods would lose a match to Ryder later that SmackDown because he simply could not get his head in the right place. Bray Wyatt then cuts a promo claiming that his presence simply petrifies certain people, and Woods is simply just a pawn to him. The Miz was hosting a Miz TV on the first Raw of the month simply just for his own ego when Bob Backlund, of all people, crashed the party. Bob claimed that if his boy Darren got a shot at the IC title, Miz would go from the D list to the S list. So Miz told Backlund that if Darren Young could beat Baron Corbin, that he'd give Darren a title shot, and of course the Miz would screw over Darren Young in that match, and Miz thought he was in the clear. He thought that was it for it. However, Baron Corbin now has an argument for the title shot, and general manager Shane McMahon gave it to him. On night 1 of the 2016 WWE Draft, the Miz will be forced to defend his Intercontinental Championship against Baron Corbin. During this month, Rusev has begun his Crush America tour. This was something he did in real life, but he didn't call it that. That's just what I'm calling it. And it was this point where Rusev was the United States Champion, and he would open an open challenge where the wrestlers would come out in just excruciatingly American outfits. Like, painfully patriotic. That's the only way I can describe it. But in our universe, he has held 2 so far. In the first match, he practically breaks Mark Henry's back with the Accolade. And in the second match, Goldust looked to have the match in the bag when his dumbass partner, R-Truth, accidentally distracted the referee, costing Goldust the match. Goldust would turn on Truth immediately after, and that is where we leave the Crush American Tour. Rusev has no active challengers going into the draft, but it looks like he will open the challenge again soon. That is it for the in-ring feuds, but there is one little thing that I've been saving for the end of the video. In the very last segment of the last show, before night 1 of the draft, Vince McMahon comes out holding a contract with the SmackDown Live logo engraved into the back of the clipboard. He grabs his microphone, but before he can get a word out, Stephanie and Shane McMahon rush down to the ring and try one last time to convince Mr. McMahon to give 1 brand to Steph and 1 brand to Shane. They bring up a possible family dynasty that could be created by doing this, and Vince loves the sound of that. And he looks as if he's about to give in to their request when Break the Walls Down hits, Chris Jericho's music. Chris will come to the ring, microphone in hand, tells Vince that his gut is usually the correct answer, and that he should say what he came out here to say. Vince sides with Jericho and announces, "Ladies and gentlemen, please give a standing ovation to your new general manager of SmackDown Live." He pauses. He looks at Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho goes for the clipboard, looking to sign it, when Flight of the Valkyries plays. And if you don't know what that is, it is Daniel Bryan's theme song. A thunderous amount of yes chants are yelled throughout the building. They don't get to see Daniel Bryan that often. At this point in time, he was still retired. He was still just an occasional wrestler. Daniel Bryan enters the ring, gives Vince a handshake, and signs the SmackDown Live contract. We end the final edition of SmackDown before it becomes SmackDown Live with Daniel Bryan as the new general manager. That's going to do it for the prologue of my new series. I'm sorry if Daniel Bryan being the general manager of SmackDown was a little disappointment, since in real life he was the co-GM of SmackDown, so it might not have been much of a surprise, but I always liked the idea of having Bryan be the SmackDown general manager while the McMahon siblings, Steph and Shane, ran Raw, and I heard that was the original plan, but they never went through with it. So, and I'm really disappointed that's not what they did, because what they kind of did was really generic, in my opinion. It's kind of the easy way out instead of trying something new. So that's why I'm doing it here. I was really disappointed when I heard that was the plan, and what we got was kind of not as good, in my opinion. But regardless, the next episode of the series will be Series 0, where I'll run down the roster champions, everyone that's eligible in the draft, just general world building, and then on Episode 1, we will see Night 1 of the 2016 WWE Draft. It will be split up into 2 nights. It'll be a Raw, a SmackDown, and then the next show will be Battleground. So, I hope to see you all there. Hope to see you guys joining me for Episode 0, but if Episode 0s aren't your thing, then stick around for Episode 1. I'll make sure that those are a hand-in-hand kind of thing. Episode 0 gets uploaded one day, the next day is Episode 1. Because I understand a lot of people aren't fans of Episode 0s where it's just running down the roster, talking about my feelings on all the people and what I might do. So, yep, then I hope to see you for episode 1. And if you don't come back, that's fine too. You know? You don't have to. Great. Thanks for watching.